That is something that I try to define beginning of every single conversation with anybody who's got a performance dog. So performance dogs are comprised of three components: genetics, training, and nutrition. Okay, you guys understand how important genetics are to any working dog, but any dog in general that you want to work with or you want to ask to do a job. Um, Premier genetics are going to get you a significant part of the way. In our world, we had Premier genetics. We go to Europe directly and we seek out those Premier genetics that are created by selective breeding over generations and generations. So what we get in special operations is a genetically modified freak show. Okay, it's a green dog that doesn't know anything other than drive. They're super environmentally sound, and they've got drive for days. So we have Premier genetics in our program. The next thing that these dogs are composed of is training. We did not skimp out when it comes to training. We would, at the end of my career, I was a kennel master, and every year I would send my guys to different courses. I would have the best trainers come to our location and train my guys and train my dogs on how to train their guys. So we had Premier genetics and we had Premier training. But if you don't fuel your genetics, they're never going to reach their full genetic potential. And if you don't fuel the dog to do what you're training him to do, he's never going to reach his full training potential. You know what I mean? So I look at these dogs as a three-legged stool, Joe.
Yeah.
If one of those legs is shaky or weak, the stool is not going to stand. And that is the most important thing that I can ever bring up to the working dog or sporting dog, performance dog community, is that definition. And again, that is not my definition. That is the definition of a friend of mine, Steve Stoops, who was a Delta Force trainer for a lot of years. I wish I could coin it as my own, but he told me that one day. And I said, man, that is the most accurate definition of what these dogs are, So that's really where I start. I start by defining the actual animal that we're talking about and the animal that we're feeding. It's super important to understand what we're talking about fueling.